Hello, and welcome to Griefcraft. Today we'll explore a folk tale of possibly Russian origin. A tale about tenacity, survival, and perseverance. I'll read the story first, then share some reflections. Take a quiet moment. Let yourself settle as we move through it together as one. The Two Frogs in the Mill. Two frogs were hopping through a farmhouse when they both fell into a large pail of milk. The walls were too high and too slippery to climb. There was no way out. The first frog looked around, saw no escape, and gave up immediately. He stopped struggling and sank to the bottom. The second frog refused to accept that this was the end. He didn't have a plan. He couldn't see a way out. But he kept kicking anyway. He kicked and kicked and kicked. His legs burned. He swallowed milk. He thought about stopping 100 times, but something in him wouldn't let go, not yet, not while he still had strength to move. Hours passed. His kicks grew weaker, but never stopped. And then, slowly, the milk began to thicken beneath him. His constant movement had churned it. Bit by bit, it turned to butter. Eventually, the butter was solid enough to stand on. The frog climbed out of the pail and hopped away. He didn't survive because he was smarter or stronger or because he had a brilliant strategy. He survived because he didn't stop kicking. There's a kind of tenacity that doesn't look heroic. It doesn't come with a plan or a vision or a motivational speech about overcoming the odds. It is just, do not stop kicking. The second frog didn't know the milk would turn to butter. He had no reason to believe his effort would lead anywhere. The walls were still too high, and the milk was still too deep. Nothing about the situation suggested survival was possible. But he kicked anyway. This is what tenacity actually looks like when you're in the middle of something unbearable. It's not confidence, it's not optimism, it's just the refusal to stop moving. Even when you can't see what movement will accomplish. We are told that persistence pays off, that hard work leads to results. But if we just keep going, we'll eventually break through. But that's not always how it feels in the moment. Most of the time, we're kicking in the dark, exhausted, swallowing more milk than we're churning. wondering if we're just delaying the inevitable. And sometimes we are. Sometimes there is no butter. Sometimes the pill wins. But the second frog didn't have that information. All he had was a choice: keep kicking or stop. He kept kicking, not because he believed it would work, not because he had faith or a plan or some deep inner strength he could draw on. He kept kicking because the alternative was sinking, and he wasn't ready to sink yet. That's the only difference between the two frogs. One decided the situation was hopeless. The other decided hopeless didn't matter. He was kicking anyway. This isn't a parable about positive thinking or never giving up on your dreams. It's a parable about survival mode, about the days when you can't see past the next hour. When you're too tired to hope, when you're just putting one foot in front of the other because stopping feels like dying. And somehow, not always, but sometimes, the milk turns to butter. Not because you believed it would, not because you earned it, or manifested it, or stayed positive enough. Just because you didn't stop kicking. This has been Griefcraft. Thank you for listening.